What's poppin', y'all? It's me, Mike. I'm here with my guy.
Commander P, back in action.
And you are now rocking with Sporting Convos with Eddie and Mike. It's been well, actually, no, it hasn't. Um, bro, let's just jump right into it and start talking about the
Yeah,
Commanders. They
yeah.
are on a bye week, so we won't be previewing the game.
Undefeated.
And
Bye week. Another win. Chalk it up.
it's past the halfway point, so it's not like we can, give a midterm report, whatever. I guess we'll be just giving our take on what's happened so far this season and our prediction for the last quarter of the year because there's only 4 games left. So
Yeah, man.
I will give you the stage first.
Oh, we want to do
Just
predictions? You want to do that, right?
not necessarily predictions, but for starters, just how you feeling about the season in general.
Uh, I mean, I think every season has at least one, maybe two things that are unique, but I just really feel like when you look at, maybe the Sam Darnold thing, as far as how the Vikings are playing, like, I mean, not that people thought uh McCarthy was going to come in there and kill it, but it was almost like, hey, we've already seen what Sam Darnold can do. Now, certainly they have some weapons. Jefferson, Hawkinson when he's healthy. They add in what's my man Green from Green Bay. Uh sorry, I'm a little under the weather here trying to clear my throat. But yeah, that was a surprise. I think.
Did you say Aaron Jones?
Oh, I meant I don't know why I liken him to having the last name Green. I know that's the weirdest thing ever. Call me weird. It's cool. But Aaron Jones is who I meant. Don't ask me why. Like I have no sort of yeah. Anywho, we're moving on. He's got weapons, but then what I was gonna say, look at Tampa Bay. I think people expected them to come out and compete, and they did, and they were playing well. But then, boom, they get hit with all these injuries. You know what I mean? I think there's certain things where, like a Philly or a Kansas City, we kind of expected them to be pretty good. I think the Commanders, obviously, big surprise there. Uh, I just think this has been a strange year when you look at injuries, when you look at how teams are playing, the way the Bengals started out. And then, of course, they're back to their usual MO where they're winning a lot of games, Burrow's putting up ridiculous numbers. Um, yeah, I just think there's a lot. San Francisco, I mean, they are just limping into the playoffs if they can make it. You know what I mean? Like half of that roster is decimated. Um, Look at the Jets, the Aaron Rodgers thing. I mean, who would have thought that would have happened besides almost everybody not in the Jets organization? So yeah, there's that.
But bro, I meant when I said the season in general, I was talking about the Commanders season in general.
Oh, I went off the rails there a little bit. Commanders season, dude, what a ride! What a ride we've been on. Yeah, I get it. Nobody likes losing to the Cowboys. Nobody, especially in this area where you just you feel like it's like and not that any of these fans are your family, although I'm sure that's a strong possibility too, family, friends, etc. But you feel betrayed. You're like, how are you here? How are you in this area? No, hey, I get transplants. We've had shows where we discuss things like this. Not going to get into all that. You feel betrayed, and then you lose when you know good and well that just shouldn't have happened. But the any given Sunday thing reared its ugly head in that sense. We do get a chance to play them again, but other than that, I thought, especially with the start and all the excitement we've had and all the promise and potential that seems to be ahead. Cross your fingers. We're playing with house money, and I'm enjoying it. Like, hey, let's keep rolling the dice. We're on a heater. I thought we got back to what we were good at. I thought, like I've been saying all along, especially on the defensive side, guys are kind of like the gelling that already was going on because we obviously came out first couple of games, and especially transitioning from the Tampa game and even the Giants game with Jaden in particular, um, we came out looking together like a unit. And it was mostly, it was like, hey, we need more from the defense. Um, and now it seems like the defense is very cohesive, even though they're still giving up big plays and you know getting beat by some of the better teams, but you see more consistency out of them, even though the effort was always there. And our offense, I do think teams are kind of starting to figure out a few things with us, and the fact that we don't have anybody besides Terry that's really like a go-to kind of person. I think that hurts us. But overall, like I said, the house money thing comes into play, and we are just so far ahead of schedule. I mean, you look at everything that's happened from top to bottom when we like just start doing sensible things. I mean, we were doing that, but it was like we were doing it while working against Dan Snyder to a degree. And then slowly, like he lost control more and more, and now we're here. And it's like, not that this is possible everywhere, but the possibility of it being possible grows exponentially when you have sensible adults doing these things. And I think what you're seeing on the field is a reflection of it. I,
Yeah, I
I It's what a ride, dude, for real. Like everybody stop and think about that. I don't mean to cut you off, Mike, but I see so many people like, oh, here we go, like, or just some sort of negative thing. And I'm like, y'all are part of the problem because there's too many of y'all. And then that becomes like a narrative of one of the fans. It not only makes us look bad because it makes you look like a casual, and it makes us look like we're casuals because all we're doing is just going by wins and losses or things like that. Like, what do y'all expect? He's a rookie. I know he's playing so much better than rookie and everything else. And sure, you can maybe like put his bar higher than perhaps a regular rookie, but or I don't whatever that means. Uh, but he's still a rookie, and like I said earlier, we're playing with house money. We were so far ahead of schedule, bro. I'm just like with so many things going on. I'm just trying to like find things to be positive about. Not that I really need to do that, but at the same time, like that's where I'm trying to be at now instead of complaining as much. Even though I'm complaining about those fans, but we're playing with house money and like what a ride. Like enjoy that ish. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna get better. You can already see it. Like look at what we did. Boom, just like that. We got all this cap space. We might re-sign a few less of these players that are going to be free agents, which will free up more money. And we're gonna like, even if it's a flop, which trust me, I hope it doesn't. It'll be a much more sensible flop if that's a thing in terms of our draft picks and free agents. At least that's how I feel. So sorry, Mike. I cut you off and went off the rails again.
it's all gravy. Um, I didn't expect anything going into the season because I know it's year one. Um, Rivera he won the division in his first year, and the next 3 years were horrible, like just absolutely horrible. So I get it. Like they're 8-5. It's a good year. Could possibly win 11 games for the first time since 1991 if they finish season 3-1. But 10 wins may get them into the playoffs, and that's a good start for a first year regime. Um, Head coach and GM, that would be wonderful. Obviously, the straw that's stirring the drink is Jayden Daniels. Um,
100%.
he's everything that we hoped he would be so far in his career and expected them to be in some ways. A lot of people compare them to Lamar Jackson coming out, and I don't think it's a fair comparison to Jackson or Daniels after seeing them both play. It's not fair to Lamar because he's won like 2 MVPs, um, and he's worked to become the player that he is coming out of college. He wasn't doing this stuff that he's doing now coming out of college, whereas Daniels is a more polished passer, but not the runner that Lamar is, especially coming out of college. So that's like, but it's good though to have both of those weapons for Jay and Daniels, and it's crazy like watching them read the field looking like Eli Manning in a pocket, and then all of a sudden he turned into Michael Vick,
Mhm.
and he got like a 3 yard gain where he should have been sacked. So it's kind of crazy watching them play, and like you said, having the structure in place to nurture that talent and build a team around him because like he's the star of this regime right now. The Dan Quinn Peters regime is going to be built around Jaden Daniels, and yeah, like I really like where the team is right now. Um, Defensively, because I think you talk a lot about the offense, but defensively, um, it's better than expected, even though the numbers aren't showing it.
Yeah, that's how
Um,
I
I
agree.
I, re- I
Totally.
remember during the season, I was saying if they can get in the 20s, the upper 20s, like 24 or higher, it would be success. I remember saying that they wouldn't be a top half of the team. I mean, top half of the league defense. Like I remember saying that, and lo and behold, as of now, they're ranked 15th, which is the top half of the league. And this is before the addition of Lattimore, who may not play until after the bye week, which is cool. Um, he could have been suspended by the team for conduct detrimental to the team. I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that later if we talk about the Ravens. But yeah, man, game for game, week for week, I am impressed. Even in the losses hurt more because it's like, damn, we could have actually won that game. I think every game that we lost so far this year, except for the Bucks game, you can make a case that we could have or probably should have won that game.
Yeah,
There
definitely.
are a few games, I guess you could say we could lose, we could have lost that we won. The Bears game come to mind, and yeah,
Giants game.
like which one? The first one?
First one,
Yeah,
I
the first
mean,
one.
missing a field goal here or there, their kicker getting hurt, them not being on top of that, like, we easily coulda lost that. Neighbors was going off that game.
True that. So yeah, like Eddie said, take it for what it is.
Absolutely.
Now, as far as the conclusion of the season, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be interesting. They got 4 games. I know them all by heart. You, they're going to New Orleans next week in week 15. Week 16, they get the rematch versus the Eagles at FedEx. 17, they're back at FedEx again, hosting Kirk Cousins. And before I get to the last game of the season, I actually think that game is probably the most important out of the 4 right now. Well, the Saints game, obviously, the most important because it's the next game. But you beat the Falcons in week 16, which might be a Saturday night game, I feel like. I really feel like they're going to put us on a Saturday night, which would be the 28th
Hmm.
and not the 29th or Sunday. Because it's 5 games that's supposed to get moved. I mean, it's 5 choices that they have for a triple hitter on Saturday. And we're one of the choices. And I think it's like the Rams and somebody or whatever. But nevertheless, um, that game, you got Kirk Cousins coming back in town. They already like trying to trade the dude. Like it's crazy. Um, I think they play the Buccaneers in week 18, I think. So that's going to be an important game for them as far as the division race. But the reason it's important for us is because I think there's going to be like a 5-team battle for that last spot. Or honestly, the last 2 spots if the Packers choke. But you got the Commanders, the Cardinals, Seahawks, Falcons, and Buccaneers. You got all five of those teams fighting for three spots. It just so happens that Washington is only eligible for one of those spots. So if they don't handle business in these last four games, with the fourth game being traveling to Dallas for the rematch with the Cowboys, um, 2-2 might get it done. 1-3 will not.
Uh, yeah, I mean, just trying to take in a lot there. Uh, you know, the Packers losing, I think, really helped us last night as well. I just want to throw that out there. And I would say the Saints game is important because it's an NFC opponent. And you think, based on the state that that team is in, despite having some talent, it's a winnable game. I think we were most likely going to be favored, probably not by a lot, but I think we will be favored. I'd be surprised if we weren't. I'm no place of arrogance. It's no disrespect to the Saints. 2-point favorite, 3-point favorite is what I'm talking max. Um, but I really think the Philly game is probably the most important. We win that game, it changes things a lot. I think it does because that's a division opponent. That's not just an NFC opponent. That's a division opponent. I think that would help us because then if we get the win against Dallas too, I think that at least would slide us probably into maybe like a tie with Philly for first place. I don't know. I mean, I think they would have to lose some too, but you know, assuming we get those 2 wins, and then, the Falcons game would kind of be like a toss up in the sense that if Philly loses and we get that win, then maybe. But I really think the Philly game most important. I think the good thing we have a chance to get healthy and like I said, or healthy as we can within that time span, but then also get more time and more reps for some of these younger guys. I mean, you saw what Rodriguez did. That was pretty awesome. Not that that's going to happen every week, but he's most likely going to get more snaps now with Eckler on the IR. So it's going to be him and McNichols and B Rob. Obviously, B Rob getting the lion's share, but B Rob's shown that he can, you know, get dinged up here and there. So this rest is good for him, but good for us to prepare going forward if he's if we're unable to get him going or he does get hurt. I think also maybe hopefully a chance for Cliff to work on some things with these guys. I just think we really gotta put ourselves in situations where we can take good shots down the field and make them, should we need to, because I think what you're seeing is a lot of like, hey, you stop, Jaden from getting out of the pocket and ad libbing. You make him a little more stationary, and you focus on shutting the run. I think that's what a lot of teams have done. And so I think if we can get some good down the field shots like we've done in a lot of the games we win. Now I understand you're going to bring up the opponent as well in that, and that's fine. But I think in general, if we can get good shots down the field, whether it's Terry or Diami, even Noah Brown, whoever, if we can get some good shots down the field, I think that's going to be key for us in a lot of these matches going forward. But I think one thing that's going to be awesome um, is Marshawn Lattimore is finally going to play. And fitting, it's going to be against his former team. I don't, I would assume that's going to add motivation because you always want to beat the team you used to play for. So, and a lot of the guys within the organization, Peters, they're coming out saying, "Hey, this is going to be a shot in the arm. Like this dude's getting healthy. He's ready to go. Where he's going to play against the Saints." And I think based on what you were saying about the defense, just to kind of like I'm bouncing over all over like with what you said. But with the defense, I totally agree about them actually playing pretty well, despite some of the statistics or even the visual of them getting gashed here and there. And I think a lot of it just simply has to do with effort. Like I've always said, if some of these amazing players we brought in here actually gave a damn and played real hard, you'd be surprised this team might actually look good. And we've kind of arrived at that. We've picked the right ones that are going to give that effort all the time. So I'm ecstatic. Philly match is one of the most important ones for me of what we still have left. But I guess you could equally say if we want to trade the Philly match, then all the rest of them are important because it's mostly NFC. And getting all those wins would get us into the playoffs and maybe get us a little bit higher a seed, avoiding the Eagles' first round. So
Yeah,
it's a
and
scenario. Doesn't mean it's going to happen.
yeah, like you're right. Like all four are equally important. Um, I really feel like they have a chance to go 4-0. I think they can beat the Eagles. The Eagles are due for an ill. I don't think it's going to happen versus Carolina this week. It'll be wonderful if it did. Like it'll be so.
Oh,
It'll be amazing if Philly
Christmas
went.
come early if that happens.
It'll be amazing if Philly finished the season 2-3 and Washington finish it 4-0. I think that'll get the division for Washington. They'll be 12-5, and Philly will be 12-5. And I think Washington will get the tiebreakers through the conference record probably. But it's a pipe dream. Like Philly probably got it. I don't even think they're losing the game,
But,
honestly.
but
I think they
Michelangelo,
play.
hey, Michelangelo, I got to stop you right there. You can, play with the nunchucks for just a minute. It's a pipe dream, but like it is so much more a possibility than it's ever been in any other scenario.
Why you say that?
You see what I've seen. This team doesn't quit,
Are you?
like I just
Oh,
mentioned.
you're talking
They
about from
have
the
to go.
commander side.
Oh, absolutely.
Nah, it's not. It's not that I don't trust the Commanders to take care of their business. It's just that Philly's schedule, the only tough game they have left, I think, is the Steelers. Like they're winning that probably.
Well,
Um,
we
I
shall
think they
see.
play the Cowboys again. The Giants. I mean, they play the Cowboys, Giants, Steelers, Panthers, and us. So I don't know. Losing 3 of those is going to be tough. And I just feel like they're cooking right now. They're on a heater with Saquon. And I guess we can actually transition to playoff talk. But they're dangerous, bro. Like, it does feel like them and the Lions are in a collision course for an NFC championship game because even though Minnesota won 10 games, I don't trust them. I don't trust Washington to beat Detroit or Philly at home in the playoffs. And that's it. In the NFC, like those are the only two teams I think. Well, in the Packers, I guess you could throw the Packers in there, but the Bucks without Godwin, I don't think they have the firepower to beat Detroit or Philly. Um, Definitely don't think any team in the NFC West this season can do it. And I say this season because obviously the 49ers could beat all of us, pause. But they're injured. Like everybody's injured. Even Purdy missed a game this season. Like they always have one of them years
Yeah.
where
But you know
somebody
what?
gets injured.
You know what, Mike? I hate to do this, but at the same time, sorry, not sorry. Fuck you, Nick Bosa. Not that I give a damn about your fucking team, but how about that? Your fucking little MAGA hat, you just fucking cursed your team. Y'all check it. Ever since he did the little thing and started trying to flex and all that shit, what happened? Look at your team. Every damn one of y'all limping around. Got a lot of money.
And
Every one of
the
them paid.
anyway. Anyway.
Hey,
Yeah, the NFC is like I said, it's a two-team race. I think there's only three teams that can compete with those two teams because the Packers did it last night. Like in any other circumstances, maybe they do pull off the upset and beat Detroit. But
I mean, they were
yeah,
hanging with them.
Dan Campbell's kind of crazy, bro. Like he went for it on 4th and inches with the game, like on a tie game in field goal range with less than a minute left.
And they almost
Like,
messed it up. Do you see Goff falling down, handing it off?
yeah.
Yeah,
And I
bro.
saw Packer fans whining saying that the play should have been dead when Goff's knee hit the ground and pulling up a rule about a quarterback's knee hitting the ground.
Huh.
Idiots failing to realize that that's only when they're willingly giving themselves up, not when they trip. This isn't college football. When a person hit the ground, the play isn't over until they get touched. And yeah. Um now when I say like the Lions and Eagles are tough, bro, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm scared of them. I think Washington can beat them or has a possible, like it's not impossible for it to happen. I just wouldn't expect it, especially in year one. But stranger things have happened. Like you said, the
Oh,
Cowboys beat us a couple of weeks ago. Any given Sunday or Monday, if you play the playoff game on Monday night.
I just think a
Um,
lot of their guys, because I'm sorry, man, we didn't do
mm,
a show, like, during the week of that, before the game or after the game
mm-hmm,
or anything. Even, like, now we're doing a show, you know, talking about the Tennessee win, but, well, I mean, we didn't really talk about it, but that's sort of what we're referencing in terms of, like, getting back on track and stuff when we talked about that. But the Cowboys game, like, look, man, Cowboys played a better game than us. They won. We sucked. We didn't play well at all. I thought maybe a lot of those guys were fired up to play against their old coach, especially on the defensive side. And we didn't do the things that we do well. Like, we didn't run the ball well at all. They stopped us. Like, it is what it is. I hate it. I was extremely pissed, but again, back to what I said, like the whole playing with house money thing, and it's also, in my opinion, speaks to volumes of how bad the Cowboys are. We played like crap, and I know, they were playing like some sort of prevent, but you see that dime that Jaden Daniels dropped to Terry, and then Terry just literally outran everybody all the way to the end zone. If that kicker makes that kick, it's a different ball game, especially with their kicker missing all the kicks he was missing. Who knows what could have happened. So I say that again as a reflection of, like, we're headed in the right direction. The fact that we can play that crappy, but we got this guy Jaden, and all it takes one or two plays. And I think also the fact that we got experience now, like between the Chicago game, this game, even you could go back to the Giants game where we won with field goals. We had to get in position to do it. That's valuable experience for a rookie quarterback, for a lot of these other younger players on the team going forward. We get into like hairy situations in the playoffs. I'm so thankful for some of this that we've got. Now, we've had some success with it, and we've had some not success with it. And these guys are the kind of guys I feel like they're going to go and, like, with sort of the attitude of like, all right, let me kind of tweak this. This is what I did last time, and it sort of worked, or it didn't work, or whatever. So let me tweak this, and we're going to kind of make this adjustment. And I think it's just so vital, and you can't replicate that except for in these games. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, it sucks that we flipping lost to the Cowboys, but same as the Eagles, we got a chance for payback. Now, Cowboys might be a little tougher because we're going into the Jared, whatever, Jerry's world, whatever you call it. Jer. Uh, so, won't have home field advantage. But hey, it's still a chance. Anything can happen.
yeah. As far as the AFC though, it's crazy. I think all seven spots are like virtually locked up. Um, in week 14, still 4 week or 5 weeks left, and we pretty much know the AFC teams. Um, not in order. I just know the seven teams. You got the Chiefs, the Bills, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Texans. I think that's all seven. Did I forget anybody? Nah, that's all seven. Um, it's a. I can't say it's a two-team race. I really feel like it might be a 3.5 team race because for how good they've been playing, I am not feeling the Steelers, young. I'm not. I'm not down with the Steelers at all. I feel like a lot of their wins have been extremely shaky. And like if the wind blows one way or another, they could have easily lost their last 3 games or 4 games. I'm not sure. 3 out of the last 4. Definitely should have lost to the Commanders and the Ravens. Honestly, probably should have lost to the Browns. Um, I don't trust him, bro. I know Russ been cooking, but even him, like a lot of his passes have been, how can I say it, linear? Is that the right word I want to use? Like they just been beating people deep, and you can't rely on that late in the season. Not only weather, but like players get tired. The ball gets harder to throw when it's colder outside. Um, they're shaky, bro. I don't trust them. Do you trust them to go into Arrowhead or Buffalo and beat the Chiefs or the Bills? Can they beat the Ravens again for a third time or a second time or whatever? I don't know. Out of the 4 teams, out of Buffalo, Baltimore, KC, and Pittsburgh, by far I trust the Steelers the less.
Least
I know. I ain't want to.
couldn't help myself.
I was
No,
in a groove and I ain't want to. Yeah.
I do tend to agree with that, but I think there's a little bit of an X factor as far as Mike Tomlinson goes, and just having his guys prepared and motivated.
What has he done since he won the first Super Bowl and the playoffs?
Not had a losing season.
But and I said in the playoffs. I didn't say
Oh,
in the
oh,
Super
okay, my
Bowl.
bad, my bad, my bad.
I mean in the regular season. And don't get me wrong, that's my guy. I wouldn't have love for him to coach the Commanders at some point. Remember, it was rumors that they were trying to get him. That was crazy.
Yeah,
But
that but no
as
disrespect to
far as the playoffs, though, they seem to fall short, and I don't think it's necessarily his fault though. I just always felt like the offense always came in the playoffs less than, and I can see it happening again because of the way they've been producing. Like I don't think it's sustainable in the postseason.
yeah, fair enough. I would think, you know, uh, script or no script, I think in general it's going to come down to Kansas City and Buffalo, and I think
Hold
Kansas
on though, don't
City
sleep
is
on the Baltimore, bro.
yeah, I'd love to see that. You know, I would
But
definitely love
and
to
that
see that.
the problem with the Ravens though, so freaking inconsistent. They should not
Yeah,
have the same record as Washington right now. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, I agree. Especially, I got
So
Lamar as my fantasy quarterback, so I can tell you, I pay attention. Like I watch their games when I can because he's on my team, and whatever. So I can tell you, yeah,
like
definitely, he's lightning in a bottle. He does all these like amazing things, but then they just it's a good team, but they'll do some things where it just looks like you or I
that
trying
they
to
want to lose on
crazy and
purpose.
a little bit, but it looks more like you or I like trying a play on Madden where we just completely overthrow the guy, or like it just like what button did we press to make the guy do that? Like that's what it looks like. Looks like somebody accidentally pressed the wrong button, made one of these guys do the wrong thing. Yeah, that's only yeah,
So as of now, it's December 6th as we're recording this.
correct.
Um, I guess everybody would assume our final four. So give me a Super Bowl matchup and this current Super Bowl prediction that we will be addressing again sometime in late January.
I think we already did this, and I can't remember who I said, but I'm gonna go Detroit versus Kansas City. I just think they can't not win. And as DeAndre Hopkins gets more familiar, I think Pacheco's coming back. That defense is not I kind of thought they'd actually be a little bit better this year, but they're still solid. Like the whole team and Andy Reid and everything, like those guys just have so much experience, especially, what I was just talking about with Washington getting in a few of the games. the amount of games that the core of this team has played together, especially postseason and like important games leading into postseason to try to get home field advantage and whatnot, um, is just crazy. So, and you got a guy like Pat Mahomes who can, pull a rabbit out of his hat and all that. Like, yeah, they, I just think it'd be awesome to see Buffalo win. Um, and maybe they get home field advantage. I don't know. That the Chargers would have to win this week against Kansas City, I think, to really help
So
that.
KC is second. Um,
Well, I
Let me
I
just
think they
check.
are only because Buffalo beat them head to head.
Yeah, that's what I would. That's what I would say. I mean, that's what I was thinking that
Yeah, but I don't. But
Buffalo
Kansas
is
City might
one
have
right
a better
now.
record. They
Oh
might have
no! Hold up!
Kansas
Didn't
City.
Buffalo beat KC?
That's what I just said. The head to head.
I
They
thought
own
they
the
lost a game. I thought they lost a game before. I
uh,
didn't know the Chiefs were still 11-1. I thought they were. I honestly thought they lost 2 games. Nah, they are still the 1 seed. Buffalo is 2 because they lost their first 2, I think, or 2 of their first 3 or something like that. But the Bama's been cooking since then. Um, yeah, I'm with you on Detroit. I do feel like they're going to force their way to a Super Bowl. Like they're
yeah.
not going to
Hey, let me.
lose.
Yeah. So here's where I'm at too, and I forgot to address this when you said it. I don't know about Dan Campbell being crazy, maybe, but did you see or hear any of the audio of that post game
Nah,
speech?
I've been waiting.
I Oh, listen, guys. I can't be Dan Campbell. I've always wanted to like do some acting and voiceovers and impersonations and blah blah blah. But I can't really do Dan Campbell. But he basically was like, we don't got to talk about what we did here or what we did there because we did it, we're living it. And he just was saying, and he's yelling it, and he's emotional. He wasn't crying, but he was just very pumped up and very like trying to sort of like release that energy onto his players in a way like that they felt like how proud and excited and pumped up he was, because like you mentioned, they went for all those fourth downs and they got all of them except the one, I think. And just making big plays, and they were missing some guys, especially on defense. So that was a big deal. And he was like, we don't got to talk about this or what we did there, what we did. We're living it. You're doing it. And he's like, you got to keep doing it. Listen, you and anybody else who listens to this podcast, and I'm sure probably by the time you hear it, anyway, go peep that. I've said it before. I love coaches like that where like they get you pumped up, they say all these awesome things, and you're just ready to run through a brick wall for them. And that is absolutely it. And he was just talking about how super proud everybody he is, and like calling guys out for making a play and giving great effort and things like that. And it's just dude, it's awesome. Like excuse me, I was driving home and I heard it and I was just like, "Oh my god, like this guy's the man." I love this. Like I wanted to, suit up and go play some ball right there. Right there on the spot. I was going to pull the car over, you know. Don't know why I'd have shoulder pads and a helmet and all that in my back, my trunk, but then I do. And I get it out and I put it on and
I listen. I just listened to most of it. I skipped the ending part when he was giving the game balls out.
yeah.
But nah, like swinging it back to Washington as we're wrapping up. Oh, I didn't get my AFC choice for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's Buffalo's year. Like if they
Me
gotta go
too.
to KC, they'll beat them in KC. I feel like Buffalo got it this time. Um,
So
I want to say Baltimore, but they don't
what you
they
said
don't they
earlier.
aren't consistent.
Yeah.
They aren't consistent enough. I can't trust them. Like I got a bunch of coworkers that are Raven fans, and I'm not one of them bounders from DC that don't like Baltimore or hate on Baltimore. Like whatever, it's Baltimore. Like um, I want them to be happy. I know they won Super Bowls more recently than Washington, but I feel like as an organization, they deserve more than one Super Bowl in the last 13 seasons. That's just my personal opinion. But Nah, as far as Dan Campbell goes, that's why I think a lot of us bang with Dan Quinn and like Dan Quinn because he brings that sort of similar energy. And you see it sometimes um, on Redskins, Commanders YouTube. You see it during the games, like on the Hill Murray, he's like very animated running across the field, and it's genuine. I hate to compare him to Rivera, but he was our last coach, so it's only right that we compare him. And with Rivera, it just seemed like he was genuine with what he was saying, but it was a lot of uneasiness behind it, especially after the first year. A lot of the stuff he was saying and doing just seemed kind of suspect. But with Dan Quinn, even if they weren't having a season they were having, I think you would feel like that the team was doing the best that they could. And now I just feel like, and I'm not still in this because I actually said this before, but I heard it again on Take Command, I think, where they were saying the difference between us and the upper echelon of the NFL is the talent. And like I said, it's something I mentioned before. That's practically why I look at next season just as much as I've been paying attention to this year. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that we're 8-5, but I just feel like next year could really be something special. Not saying they'll win the Super Bowl or nothing. It's just that they don't have talent right now. Like it's obvious in a lot of spots that they're talent deficient. And
Oh
that
yeah,
the reason that they had a lot of success is because Jaden Daniels has been that good.
totally agree. Totally agree. I think some of the scheme and again having coaches that get you fired up and motivate and picking the right players that are going to give you effort, but like you said, are just not maybe on that talent level we want. But I think, as I've said in various social media platforms and what have you, I think, you're going to see we've got draft picks, we've got cap space, actually a lot of it. I think you're going to see a lot of issues addressed via the draft and free agency. And I think some of the guys we keep, even let's say if we were to keep maybe like St. Juice and some of these other guys, which I'm not totally for getting rid of them in the first place. But let's say we keep some of these guys that maybe people think are more cuttable than not. We can continue to coach some of those guys up and, maybe work on some things. And then if it's still not working, then I suppose, you cut ties then and, can continue to, rebuild at that position or get better more so. That's just how I feel.
That's I get it. Um, let's wrap up with these last two topics, bro. Um, the Wizards, I think they lost 16 straight. If it ain't 16, it's at least 15, but I think it's 16 straight. The record for least amount of wins in the season is 8. And at 2 and whatever they are right now, I don't see 7. I don't see more than 7 wins on the rest of the schedule. The team is really bad. In 2024, it's an NBA team that can't shoot. It's kind of weird when you know the league is like heavily dependent on 3-point shooting. This team hasn't. They don't have it. Even their sharpshooter, Kispert, he's barely shooting over 35% right now, I think, or something crazy like that. He ain't nowhere near 40. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So, again, and I'll probably not talk about him again until they lose their 25th straight game or whatever. But it's going to be a rough. Honestly, I don't see how next year will be any better unless They get a top pick and they come in and start cooking immediately. But I don't think Flag or Ace Bailey are going to be good enough to get them to like playoff contention after they're not winning more than 15 games. Like, let's just get that out the way right now. They will have a worse record than last year, easily. And yeah, the good news is that I really like the players that's on the young players that's on the team. Koulibaly, Carrington, Sar, George. Not George. Yeah, yes, I think that is his last name.
Yeah, Keyshawn George.
Um, I do like the young talent, but they need a dog. They need an alpha on this team, and I think Cooper, Flag, or Bailey can fit that role. But yeah, they need some help badly.
Well, I think too, it I'm not saying it would be like Caitlin Clark so much, but I think someone like Cooper Flag, who's a big deal, and in this day and age, a lot of these younger guys, they got the internet following and stuff like that. And I've watched him play. Duke, they did lose to my Jayhawks, by the way. We're not going to talk about the loss to Creighton, though. Anyway, so I saw Cooper Flag play, and the dude is an athlete. He's a talented basketball player, and it, at his age, playing against a team like Kansas in like a big tournament, it didn't phase him. He very Jaden Daniels like, you know what I mean? So I think bringing him here would lead to even bigger marketability. But yeah, I just I don't know. I mean, it seems like what was it, the Wimbledon draft that was just last year or 2 years ago. We kind of
Hmm.
got closed out of that. I just worry that that's what's going to happen here. That's why I made the comment, uh, on your post about the
Oh,
Wizards.
about Utah.
Well, their coach called a timeout as the guys driving to the lane for a basket that
That
would
was
have won,
insane.
not won the game, but it certainly was going to put them in a very good position to come close to winning. If they didn't, the other team would have to go right down the floor, even less time, and make a shot as well. So that it just lame, totally lame. Especially they've got good guys on their team. They got Markkinen. They got a guy named Keontae George, not Keyshawn George. I don't know. I don't think they're related. And then they got what's my man Sexton? That's the guy who was making the layup. He's nice too. So, but maybe they want to, they put Cooper Flag with those guys. Maybe they're pretty good too. But still, having the Wizards be good is just so. It's like why the NBA isn't trying to like help this out. And I'm not saying they need to like cheat for us, so to speak, but at the same time, don't allow us to not get Victor Wembanyama. Are you kidding me? It's DC. Like I
Nah, we would have messed them up. I was
possible.
kind of happy that we didn't get them because nah, at at that time or last year, no,
Yeah, well, I think obviously
absolutely
we would need a coach. I don't even know our coach's name. I feel so bad
It's
saying that.
that I forgot his name too. Cafe, Brian Brian Cafe or something like that. I think it's
Okay.
KEFKE, something
Yeah.
like that.
Keith.
Yes, Brian Keefe. That's
Okay.
what it is. I don't know.
Um,
Look it
yeah,
up. You don't
well,
know.
there we go. Embarrassing to say the least, but at the same time, like I don't think he's going to be here next year. So hopefully we bring in a coach and a coaching staff that is going to be ready to.
Oh, he will be here next year.
Oh, you think so? Oh, okay. Well,
Who gonna take this job?
I have no idea, but
When the GM saying we're in the deconstruction phase of our rebuild still, who gonna take this job? They ain't gonna have no choice but to keep the bum.
got you. All right. Well, what can you say? Like, I hope every year, but like I was saying, it really helped the NBA for a city like DC with all the marketability. And don't get me wrong, I get it. Maryland and Virginia aren't necessarily part of DC, but with the fact that a good portion of the three areas are all connected almost
Bruh,
are
the DMV is weird, but like it's the metropolitan area.
for
Like
sure.
Alexandria is just as important to the Wizards as Landover. Um, Honestly, Baltimore is just as important to the Wizards as Woodbridge.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah, that they need the support from the Mid Atlantic.
well, all I was saying is there are good high school basketball programs all over that area. Whether you talk about Dematha, I'm very hesitant to say Oak Hill because they're closer to Kentucky than they are to DC. But anyway, point is there's all these good basketball programs, and I know you don't get necessarily the same vibe as like a New York or like a Detroit or a Chicago, but DC is a basketball city too. It's just, the Redskins were good when they were the Redskins, and with all the drama that the Commanders have had over the last 20 some years, uh, they've kind of dominated the headlines. Then you got Nats and Capitals winning titles. I really think DC is starved for good basketball because it's been a while since the Wizards slash Bullets or Georgetown was good. So I think it would be in the best interest of the NBA with a city like DC that would just, I mean, it would be great. It really would. The restaurants, the local economy would be great, but then for the NBA as well because of just the big city, the marketability, all that. Yeah. So um, I'm gonna segue right in. I I don't even know how to jump about the Major League Baseball might have lost its mind, but maybe this is like just a thing to stay relevant in the off season when nobody's talking about them. Um, I don't know why Fred. Uh, is oh man, you'll probably have to edit this out because I'm goofing around so much here. I almost said Fred Manfred, but I don't think that's his name because that's the I'm too sexy guy, right? Isn't it? Or maybe I don't know. Whatever. The Major League Baseball commissioner came out and is talking about this golden bat rule, which Mike might be too young to remember this or might not. I love to do this and pretend like I'm 100 years old and he was just born yesterday. There used to be a series of sporting events on MTV called Rock and Jock. And they would have spots on the floor where if you hit a bucket, it counts for more points. They
I
had
used to
like
love Rock and Jock on MTV.
Okay, awesome. Mike's not too young. So there we go. Same with the baseball, right? You hit it in certain areas, it counts for X amount of runs. Well, this golden at bat rule doesn't necessarily do that, but still has a similar uh yeah. The rule states that you get one like golden ticket where in any sort of scenario you can you can basically substitute a batter uh to bat out of turn for one at bat, meaning like if it's the bottom of the ninth, and I guess as long as he's not on a base, I feel like that would probably be a caveat. Uh, Aaron Judge could come in and potentially pinch hit, and because I feel like that's what most people are going to do. If they're going to try to hold on to that call, if should this be instated, mind you, a lot of hypotheticals, but I feel like that's what people would do. They would just wait and then do something like that. But the idea is that you can just sub anybody in at any time this one at bat, whether it's their turn or not. Obviously, kind of comes hand in hand. I feel like that's just like a mockery. I feel like anybody who likes baseball would just be like, what is that?" Because you look at some of the other things they did, they instituted the pitch clock to kind of try to speed the game up a little bit. That was for this younger generation and for people even like me to a degree. Like when I was younger, I used to hate. I'm like, these guys are just standing around all the time. There's no action. Now that I'm older, I kind of understand a little more. There's strategy and almost a little bit of buildup and anticipation. They're like, oh, you going to throw a curveball? Is this guy going to, jack one out of the park? What's going to happen here? Uh, but yeah, they added the pitch clock, speed up the game a little bit. Okay, that makes sense. That's practical. That's it's understandable because some of these baseball games, even with the pitch clock, can go on forever. But this rule, I mean, this is dog water. Like it's terrible. What kind of like I really feel like they got a bunch of drunk Irishmen in a room. No disrespect to Irishmen. They're like, "Hey, this is baseball." For those of you who don't know, because Irishmen golf and cricket and soccer and stuff like that. Um, they're like, "Yeah, what do you guys think?" And they're like, "All right, at any time, one time." And I'm not doing an Irish accent. I'm clearly congested here, so yeah, I just feel like I don't know. It just sounds dumb, like real dumb.
My bad, I was muted. So I don't know, bro. I I understand what they're trying to do with the rule, but at the end of the day, it's bad enough they doing a bunch of stuff that they're already doing to take away from the tradition of baseball to make it exciting for the younger fans or whatever. But this right here, it just might be too much. That's
It's
like
like a
I don't
video
know
game
what
or something. It's
it's
stupid.
like if on every fourth and inches or whatever, you line your quarterback up and push him in the back to get the non choke.
What?
I was
Like,
taking a
how
shot
far
at the
can you
tush.
make someone fall or something? Like,
No, I was taking a shot at the tush push
uh,
and saying that it's kind of cheating. Um, but no,
well,
like nah, golden bat
that's
rule.
different because they're playing within the rules. This is a
Yeah, I
total
get it.
rule change
I'm just
that
messing
just
with Philly.
well, but it takes away from everything, and I don't know, like, I think, to be honest, I think it could create major problems because now I substitute a guy in. And you're like, "Hey, that's my at bat," and it's like, and you cheat people out of stuff because obviously, if I got Aaron Judge, of course I'm gonna golden at bat rule him as
What if the
often.
player's on base already?
I feel like you'd probably have to pinch run for him, but then I don't know.
I say it should be they're ineligible. They just went.
Yeah, I would agree too, but I don't know because I don't think that part was necessarily specified. I think this was again, I don't know if this dude was just wasted and just threw some sort of nonsensical stuff out there. I don't know if this was like some
You
kind of
know.
marketing thing to like, hey, nobody's really talking about us. Just put something out there and get people talking about baseball
I
for
did hear. I don't know if I saw an article or heard somebody say something along those lines, like how every time around this year, I mean every year around this time, Major League Baseball comes out with a random rule change or whatever. Nah, you might be on to something, bro.
yeah. Hey, what is that? No, any press is good press or no press is bad press, something like that.
Yeah. Um,
Anywho,
Shout out to my man Eric Bischoff. He was on NXT on Tuesday night. I always like quoting his favorite saying, controversy generates cash or controversy creates cash.
no,
So
yeah,
yeah.
certainly possible. But yeah, I don't know about that specifics as far as with the base runner and everything. I would kind of tend to agree with you about him being ineligible, but baseball does have a pinch run rule, but it doesn't mean you can have a pinch runner to then substitute the runner back to at bat again for in a roundabout way himself, you know? So
Right.
it just sounds dumb because again, if you had Judge or Otani or someone like that, you're gonna be subbing them in as often as possible with this rule. But I think it also creates problems, like I said, because while other players might understand, hey, yeah, that guy's like legendary status already while still playing, it whether it's stipulations in their contract about stats and things that they could achieve, or just the coach not believing in them. I think it creates all kinds of problems in that sense, and uh, more so than anything, it's just dumb. It's making a mockery of the game. It's stupid. It's fucking it takes so much away from the whole professionalism thing. It may as well be, what it may as well be. And a lot of these things too, I'm not saying I stole from Grant or from Danny, but like they kind of were talking about this and saying some of the same things. It's like the Savannah Bananas. I don't know if you know what that is, but
Who
it
doesn't?
okay. Great show, is what I've heard. They do all kinds of cool stuff, and good for them. Uh, but that's not pro ball. Sorry, no other way to say it. And I feel like that's what Major League Baseball would kind of be doing. You're entering that realm.
I don't know about. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't go that far, bro. I wouldn't say that making the golden rule is making the game an exhibition game. It is changing the rules, but that's what happens in 2024. Sorry, no, I'm joking. But nah, seriously, we about to get up out of here.
That's with 2024.
Thanks for rocking with us. Yeah, we're gonna highlight y'all next week. Talk about the Saints game that'll be coming up and recap week 14. Hopefully the Packers are already lost. We need the Bucks to lose. We need the Vikings. Well, not necessarily. No, we need the Vikings to beat Atlanta this week. We need the Cardinals to lose. We need the Seahawks to lose. I think I said that already. Yeah. Vote for everybody to lose that's in the playoff hunt outside of the Vikings. And
yeah,
that's it.
Everybody have a good night. Stay safe. You might not be listening to this at nighttime. I just realized that. But I do want to go hard on a positive note here. My homie Karan Powell, former coworker, was part of a grouping, because they don't just give this award to one person in the teaching profession. He's one of the teachers of the year. Got the award. I believe this would, I think, be coming from this past year, or maybe they do it more of like a calendar year than like a school fiscal year. I'm just thinking about that now that he got this award. But yeah, man, real great dude. He's a math teacher. He used to work at my school. He now works at, I believe the school's called Jefferson Houston. Shout out to this guy. Young black dude. Grew up in the DMV, believe went to South County High School, if I'm not mistaken, coaches there, relates to kids really well. Dude, the way he used to do things at when he was at my school and I would just watch and go into the room sometimes, he came up with these math lessons that were like a little bit more modern and helpful to kids. Like he did one thing where it was like, he gave him like sort of like a whole like life kind of to live, so to speak, and like more financially, like, hey, here's money, you want to buy clothes and stuff like that. How much does that cost? All right. Teaching them about like income tax, sales tax, things like that. Teaching them how to buy a car. He and along with another teacher partnered and like showed kids about investing and like numbers and things like that and what that would mean. So yeah, real like kind of young, innovative dude as far as like relating to kids and getting them to like actually believe in like learning and getting better, and just good dude. And he deserves all the flowers in the world, because I also know that this dude genuinely cares. Like I watch him and he works hard. It's not just about being good at math and coming up with cool lessons, but the fact that he also cares about the kids he's teaching. And he always makes sure his kids are good too, like they're doing well, good spirits and all that. So I don't know if he'll ever hear this show, but if you happen to know Karan Powell, give him a high five, pat on the back, attaboy, all those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? Shout out, Mr. Powell. You are the man. Congrats, teacher of the year.
That's what's up. Always good to celebrate a teacher.
For sure.
And with that, we're going to holler at y'all Bamas. Peace, hope.
Yeah. Good night. Good morning. You're welcome.